Hi, Keith. How are you doing? Good
Hi,
morning in
Queensley. How
your
are you?
time.
Good morning.
I'm very fine, thank you. Very fine. So I'm happy we're doing this, though the last time it was in person, but we understand that the whole situation, pandemic and everything, but then we're able to have this opportunity, and that's fine. And I would say thank you so much for availing yourself for us to have this session. And I believe that everyone connected today would benefit one way or the other for all the informations needed. So everyone, this is Keith, Sacred Heart University in the U.S. I will let him, of course. So I'm going to let him introduce himself properly to everyone, and then we're going to kick it up from there. So Keith, the floor is yours. Please say something
Okay,
about yourself. Introduce
no
yourself
problem.
to
So,
everyone. Yeah.
first off, I want to say thanks to Queensley and everybody at NextG. I have been working with them for probably 3 or 4 years now, and I've had the distinct pleasure of visiting their offices at least twice over 2 different trips. And right now, I'm sitting in my office here in the United States of America. That's my big office window looking out over Connecticut, which is right near New York City. So I'm not sure if you could see out the window, but the trees are just starting to come back to life, and it's a pretty nice place to be. So yeah, a little bit about myself and about Sacred Heart. I'm the director of international admissions here. I work with all of our students who need a visa to come to the United States from all around the world. I work mostly with our graduate programs, so our doctoral programs, our master's programs, but I have a couple of great colleagues that work with my bachelor's programs as well. So I'm here to answer questions about anything you could possibly want to know about either the programs that we offer at Sacred Heart, studying in the United States in general, the visa, process, things like that. And I think Queensley's prepared some questions for me today, and I'm here basically just to help out. We have a few of the students that came from NextG that have been enrolled here at Sacred Heart. We've got people that have studied film and television, so they're making movies now. There's a great guy named Vince. He goes by Vince or G. He came from Lagos. He was great. We've got some students from our healthcare informatics, our cybersecurity, computer science programs. So a lot of good students that have come from Nigeria. And hopefully maybe I'll see some of the people that are on this Instagram Live today sitting here in Connecticut at some point in the near future. So, Queensley, why don't you ask me your questions?
So of course, so that's actually the aim because of course most of the students have a whole lot of questions and they probably need some convincing, and it's very good that we're alive. And then I'm glad that you're giving the testimony of some of our students that have gone through us to Sacred Heart University and are actually doing great and fine. So we'll just kick it off, and I would like to say that you've actually talked about where the school is located. And for everyone listening, the school is actually in Connecticut, that's in the United States of America. And like he said, it's not so far from the New York City. So a whole lot of students would be looking at the cost of staying in New York, and I'm wondering which states are probably very close that they can school, and then the cost isn't so much, cost of living isn't so much for them. So you can actually consider Sacred Heart University in Connecticut, Fairfield. Okay, so I would like you to take us on the courses available in Sacred Heart University and the intakes available as well,
Okay.
and probably the course requirements generally. Yes. So you can take us on that, and then we'll move forward. Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll add a comment to the download. I have this really nice little book that I put together that has a listing of all of our different programs, and I have a PDF version of it. But if you look at this page right here, you can see you can't see each one individually, but there's a lot of programs that we offer. Everything in the white is our bachelor's degree programs. Everything in the gray is our master's programs. So we pretty much have everything you can think of with, from computer science to film to media studies to language studies, biology, chemistry, pre-medicine, all those different things. And when you get to the graduate level, great programs, especially in business and finance, digital marketing, cybersecurity, computer science, IT, communications, film and TV. We've got a lot of different things. Sports communication, we have a lot of people that do like sports broadcasting. We're right near one of the big broadcasters, ESPN. They're located maybe about 45 minutes from our campus. So one of the things that you did mention is the cost of living and the cost of programs. So when you are thinking about coming to the United States to study, there's a few things that you should think about. One would be the cost of the actual program, the tuition fees. The second would be any possible scholarships that exist, whether they bachelor scholarships or graduate scholarships. Occasionally, especially at the graduate level, there'll be some assistantships where you'll be, working for a part-time at the university or something like that. But there's a lot of requirements about jobs that are not university specific, but they're requirements of the U.S. visa or the student visa. So I'll talk about that in a little while. But yeah, I mean, we are located in the Northeast, which is just outside New York City, really quickly, but we might be a bit more expensive on the cost of living, but definitely less so than inside the city. But the costs, especially for living, it's very different across the United States, but job prospects are also very different across the United States. So it's things to think about. So go ahead, Queensley.
Okay, so you mentioned that the cost of living is probably different. So what's actually the cost of living for a year in the US as an international student?
For most of our students,
what?
Yeah, go ahead. Your voice cut out on me, so go ahead.
Okay, so sorry. So I'm saying that what is actually the cost of living for a student, an international student coming over to the US to study, and very precisely connect to what is actually the cost of living?
Okay, so it depends again on the level of student. So for example, at Sacred Heart University, for our bachelor's students, we have dormitories. Okay, for our graduate students, we don't have dormitories. We have there's a lot of apartments that are nearby. All of our graduate students, both American and international, will live in apartments. Our domestic and international undergraduate bachelor students, some of them live in the campus, some of them live off. And honestly, the campus housing is usually a bit more expensive. The apartments can be a bit cheaper, especially when people are sharing rooms. But you can expect that in Connecticut, the cost of living, we estimate it's going to be about $1,000 per month for housing, food, transportation, all that other stuff. And so if you were to go to New York City, like downtown New York City, that would probably be double.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So if we're looking at 1,000 for a month, we're looking at probably for a year we're looking at 12,000.
Yeah. I mean, that would probably be reasonable. Again, that's an estimate. We estimate those costs for students. It's definitely not inexpensive, and I don't think you're going to find too many universities around the country where you're going to have a completely free experience. This just doesn't happen. Even if there is a scholarship provided, that usually only covers the tuition costs, but the cost of living would still need to be spent by the student. The really important thing to remember is that gaining admission to the university is step one. Okay, step two is getting your U.S. F1 student visa. This is going to be dependent on a number of factors, but the most important factor is that you have to show two things, really. One, you can afford to fund your education, and two, that you intend to return home to your country once you're done with your studies and any post-study work experience. If you cannot show that, or if the consular official is not convinced of that, you will not get your visa. And this is true for the United States, for Canada, for UK, for Malaysia. This is pretty much the same for any country. They want to make sure that you're going to come to the country, can afford your education, will study, will do some work, and then you will return home. It's not an immigration visa, it's a student visa.
Okay, so about what you just said show that you can going to return after your study. So you must show that you can return. How do you expect a student to show that, to convince the counselor that he or she is going to return? Most
Okay,
times,
so
how do one have to show that as an international student?
yeah, I mean, so usually what they want to know is that, do you have family back home in your home country? Do you own property, or does your family own property in your home country? Have you thought about what you plan to do after you graduate and return home? If you're looking for work, or if you're looking for job prospects, if you go in there saying, I hope to come to the United States to study, and then I want to get a job, and then I want to immigrate, that's probably not a good answer to talk to the consular official for. The immigration process definitely happens. And, at Sacred Heart, we've had, over the last 2 years, we've had nearly 200 students that have graduated, have done their post-work, it's called OPT, which I can explain in a bit. And then after that, their company said, we want to keep you here in the United States to work, and we're going to give you a work visa, an H-1B visa. We've had nearly 200 students in the last couple of years that have had that happen. That's really up to the company that hires you. And so you don't want to go to a visa official and say, I want to stay in the United States and I want to work there and I want to get my green card, because that's not part of the student visa process. You can definitely do that, but you don't want to. You want to really show the person that you do intend to return home. You've thought about work prospects. So if let's say you're going for a computer science degree, do you know some of the companies that are back in Nigeria that do computer science work or software work? Or if you're doing film and television, have you looked at the job opportunities that exist for making movies or television shows in Nigeria? And if you can show this, that you've thought about this, that usually will help you with the visa process. I will be very honest, and Queensley, you know this as well as I do, that in the last few years, the visas have been very difficult for the United States. This is not just Nigeria. I've seen this in Ghana. I've seen it in India, even China right now. My wife is from China, and she works with Chinese students. The embassies have been closed for nearly a year and a half, and so none of her Chinese students can get visas. Slowly, things are starting to open back up again. There are people that are getting their visas, but it will take time, it will take effort, and it will take a lot of preparation on everybody's part. So it doesn't really matter the country, and that you're going to, even if it's a different country than the U.S., but you have to do that preparation work.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Because I had the plan of talking about the visa maybe later on.
Okay.
But we're still going to talk about it. But I love the fact you talked about the cost of living, and you mentioned the courses available, and you talked about choosing a course and knowing the availability of maybe work or the importance of the course you're going for. I know that there are courses that give like a couple of years stay back, right? There are some courses, I think the STEM programs, that give students the ability to stay back probably a year, between 1 year to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So this is going to be true of every U.S. university. There's 3 terms that you should be aware of. One is called CPT, which is Curricular Practical Training. The second is OPT, which is Optional Practical Training. And the third is called STEM, okay? And I see a question about coming with the family. I will answer that in a little while. So just to make sure, I did see your message. Yeah. Okay. But so CPT means that when you're studying, when you're a student, you do have the ability to do an internship. Usually the internship would be something related to your major. Actually, it has to be related to your major. And it's going to be taken as part of a class, but you can work up to 20 hours per week during this internship. That's the maximum, 20 hours per week. That's a U.S. visa regulation, okay? Once you graduate, you can stay in the United States for 1 year, and you can work full-time, get full pay, full benefits, everything. You can stay for 1 year after you graduate, and that's called OPT, okay? If your course is a STEM course, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, you can stay in the United States for 3 years, okay? And you can work, you can make money. And so at Sacred Heart University, we actually have to have each individual program classified as STEM or not STEM. And so, for example, in our graduate programs, I'm just going to tell you the ones that are STEM: business analytics, computer science, cybersecurity, digital marketing, finance investment management, journalism and media, chemistry, exercise science, healthcare informatics, and we actually are getting our DBA, our doctorate in finance, STEM approved. Just this week, we're working on doing that. So each school has to individually get those majors approved. We've got quite a few of them. We've got some of our undergrad engineering courses, biology, chemistry, that kind of stuff. Those are all approved. So you can stay in the U.S. for 3 years. So when you're looking for a school, you want to find out if you really want to stay for a long time and you're interested in STEM, see which programs are approved so you can stay for 3 years. And now this is important too, because if you think about it, maybe you're going to get offered a job that will help you pay back some of your student loans and things like that very quickly. I have a great example of a student from India who is doing our digital marketing program. He just graduated like last week, and he got a job as an SEO, which is search engine optimization manager for a company in California, but he's based in New York, and he's making lots of money, and he's going to be able to pay back his student loans in 6 months or a short time. And so it's kind of an investment. If you're able to fund your education through family or loans, think about the return on your investment afterwards. And the U.S. does give you the ability to stay for 1 to 3 years and work.
Okay, thank you so much. So how many intakes does Sacred Heart University have? And is there like a certain application deadline for each intake?
Yeah, so actually at the undergraduate level, we have 2 intakes. We have a fall term, which starts in August, September, and we have a spring term, which starts in January. So the undergraduate level has 2 terms per year. We call them semesters. At the graduate level, there's a bit of difference. It depends on the program. So some programs operate on that semester schedule. Other programs have a trimester, which means 3 terms per year. And the 3 terms are September, January, and April. Okay? So it's really important, either for our university or any university, you have to look up the application deadlines. You have to know what they are. For some of our programs, we have rolling admission, which means you can apply anytime. It doesn't really matter, because if you're not able to make for the fall intake, I can simply just push you to the spring intake or the April intake. It's very easy. Some of our programs, like our physical therapy, occupational therapy, nursing, they have very strict deadlines. You have to finish your application by a certain date. If you've missed that date, you're out of luck for that year. And so it really depends on both the university and the program.
I need to ask you something about the nursing.
Okay.
Which of the, are you talking there?
Can you say that one more time? I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay, so I'm saying the nursing program. So I'm saying that the nursing program, is it available for the BA?
Right now, our nursing program is available for international students. Yeah, I can hear you. Basically, the nursing program is available for the undergraduate bachelor students. Our graduate programs are usually not, because they require a U.S. RN license, and many of them are online completely, which doesn't qualify for the visa. But yeah, we do have nursing undergraduate. It's extremely competitive. We get nearly 2,500 applications for 200 spaces every year. So you need to have very good grades, and you need to follow the application deadlines. But yeah, we do have that. It's not easy, but it's possible.
Okay. All right. So the student has to be like how old before he or she can apply for the BSc nursing? And what are like the major requirements for that program?
Okay, so the age requirements, really, it's just you have to have completed your high school degree. So, most students will be, 17, 18 years old when they do that. That's going to be the requirements for any bachelor's program. You have to complete high school. For master's programs, you have to have completed a bachelor's degree. And so you can't apply to a master's program until you have your bachelor's degree. There's really no age limits, like the maximum age limits. For example, my wife, who I'm not going to tell you her age, but she's not 18. She's doing her bachelor's degree right now. And, she always says that she's the oldest student in the class. But, even in our like master's programs, doctoral programs, we have people that are in their 40s, 50s, even 60s. So it depends again on, the person. There's no real maximum age limit, but that's more or less, people can do that.
Okay, so before we go on, I think we should take some questions that have been sent. So
Yeah.
I think someone is saying, why is it difficult to get into a US school? What I mean is, why so many tests required? So, did you want to answer that? Someone is asking, why is it so difficult
we've actually,
to get into the US school?
we've been a test optional school for a while now. So we do not require the GRE, the GMAT, or the SAT or the ACT. Those are kind of the undergrad exams. The SAT, ACT, GRE, GMAT are not required. For Nigerian students, we actually do waive the English language proficiency exams, like the TOEFL, the IELTS, or the Duolingo. However, I still recommend that students take it because this can help you with your visa, just to have those test scores available in case the visa officer asks you. Sometimes the visa officer, if you have taken the effort, the time, and the money to study and take these tests, you're a more serious student. So even though our university doesn't require them, sometimes the visa would be. For other schools, like the Harvards and Yales and Stanfords and things like that, they will require these tests. And the reason is not so much that these tests will get you into the school, but they will keep you out of the school. So they usually just have a level. They say this is the minimum line. Anybody below this line, we just throw their applications away because they don't have the people and the time to read the 75,000 applications that come in every year. So they just use them as a way to get rid of applications. So again, if you're trying to apply to an elite school, you will have to take these tests and you will have to do very well, or you will have no chance. So.
Okay. All right. So I think we have a whole lot of questions, and we are working with, I think we have less than 30 more minutes on this. So we'll have to work with the questions and the time. So someone is saying, the percentage, is there like a scholarship available for both BSc and MSc program?
Yeah, so at our university,
before we talk about,
so people were asking about the tuition costs, and I can send you tuition costs if you're interested. The tuition costs can be very variable, but usually you should be expecting for undergrad studies, it's around 40,000 US scholarships that can be applied to that, and they're going to be merit scholarships. So it depends on what your grades are. The higher your grades, the higher the scholarships. We do not have full scholarships. There are many universities that really do have full scholarships. We have also at the undergraduate level, we have awards for students that are involved in performing arts. So the band, dance, choir, and we also are an NCAA Division I sports school. So we have 34 teams, men's and women's, and some of those programs will provide scholarships, but those are for the elite athletes because we are the top level. But every year we do have students from all around the world that come in that are able to obtain scholarships for that. At the graduate level, we don't have scholarships, but we do have assistantship positions. We have teaching assistant positions. They are minimal in amounts and they're very competitive. But, we do have for example, I have a graduate assistantship in my office that works for international admissions that will help pay a significant portion of tuition. But remember, you have to be able to show you can afford your education even without the scholarship, or you will not get a U.S. visa. I can promise you that. That is one of the next steps. So, yep. And what I'm going to do, actually, I think a lot of people are just asking, if people are interested, let me just type my email in because it's on the phone. So it's hard to collect this stuff. But I'm going to put my email in, and then Queensley, of course, can help out. She works with us really closely. But just send me a quick email and tell me what you're interested in, your program, and I will send you all the details about the program, the costs, scholarships, all that stuff. So that's my email. My name's Keith. Keith Gallinelli. And now somebody else asked me too on that. So she asked me a couple times.
Someone is asking, someone is saying that can I go with my family, like my husband and my son?
Yeah, so that is that's a good question. The answer is yes. That's in the United States we call the student visa is the F1 visa. The family is the F2. Okay, and so yeah, you definitely can do that. You have to show an additional amount of money in your bank statements because they want to make sure you can afford to feed your husband and your son and daughter and things like that. So I don't remember the numbers. It's like $5,000 per husband, and I think $2,500 per child. Usually people only have one husband or wife, and they maybe have more than one child. The one thing to remember, though, is that often people will get their visas rejected if they're trying to bring their entire with them, because this can show that you're not intending to return home. So again, it's just something you want to make sure you clearly can explain why you're bringing your family with you for the studies. It is possible. I have a lot of students that do it, but again, it can be a reason why an officer might reject your application for a visa. Okay. Somebody asked me about the GRE requirement.
All right. Someone was asking about.
Yeah, I was just going to say the GRE is not required at our university. It's preferred, but it's not required. We don't require that at our university. We stopped that about 4 or 5 years ago.
Someone is asking, do you apply for? All right. Do you apply for the OPT or is it automatic?
That's a good question. So no, OPT is definitely not automatic. It's not automatic at any university. It's basically you're given a certain window of time after you graduate, and you have to apply for the job, and you have to get a job. And so it's important to ask the universities, and I'll tell you what we do here at Sacred Heart University. We have a really good career services department. We work really closely with them. And so what we actually ask the students to do is to meet with them right when they start and they enroll in the program. They meet with our career services people. They work on their resume. They work on interview tips. They go through the search database, talk to professors, talk to other people, and start your job search almost the day that you start your studies. Because what happens is when you graduate, you still have to make sure you've got a job lined up. Many times students will get internships while they're a student, and that the internship will say, hey, when you graduate, please stay. We want to keep you as an employee. And that's how they'll get a job. So OPT is not guaranteed, but it's really dependent on how well the student works. The student that you have, I know, Queensley, that sent us for the film program, he's working for a company right now doing film stuff. I see people more when they come into the programs, not as much when they leave, but I definitely know he's here working. I actually just asked the professor about it yesterday. So.
Okay, so I'm going to combine two. Someone is saying, what is the tuition fee for a year? And the other one is saying, what is the range of tuition fee? So obviously for the master's program.
Yep. So usually
when would the next application?
Okay, so the next application for every program is, the next term is going to be fall, which is September, end of August, beginning of September. So all the applications right now are open, with the exception of some of our health programs, which closed a few months ago, but most everything else is completely open for the fall term. The range of tuition, I usually would say that at the master's level, you should be expecting about 30,000 US dollars, maybe a bit more, will be the full tuition that's going to be required for most master's programs. But then again, when you think about it, many of the jobs that people are getting when they graduate are 75, 80, 90, so it's a fraction of the potential earnings. So, again, sometimes I have people that apply for finance programs, and in finance and investment, I tell them this is an investment in your future. So the money, if you're able to get it through family or friends or bank, it is an investment in your future. Yes.
Okay. So do you have any PhD program, probably in human nutrition and dietetics?
No, right now the only
program?
doctoral programs that are open to international students are our doctorate of physical therapy and our doctorate of business administration. We do have a doctorate of social work, but it's not approved for the visas yet. So the doctoral programs we are relatively limited at our university for international students.
All right.
Mostly bachelor's
So
and master's.
lately we talk about, okay. So lately we talk about the high rate of denial, visa denial, which is some of the challenges or issues most international students are having. That they put in so much effort getting the admission, getting down the I-20, preparing for the interview, and all of a sudden, they get rejected. So, but with the current visa challenges and with the new government in on, what do you think? Like, what would you advise about the visa application right now?
So, without getting into politics, you know, the government definitely has changed. But to be honest with you, we did see an increase of visa rejections even before our last president took office, even, when the past president. So I would say that it's definitely, I've seen it improving over the last year. More students have been able to get their visas. However, in certain countries, and I know Nigeria, Ghana, a lot of the West African countries, even in places like China, the embassies are still closed. And so right now it's impossible to get a visa because the embassies are closed or they're open very, very limited. What is happening in like countries where the visas are open a bit more, like India, the wait times have grown very, very long. So I'm having students that usually would take them 3 or 4 weeks to get an appointment. Now it's taking them 2 or 3 months to get an appointment. So basically, I mean, with the COVID pandemic, things have slowed down a lot. If you are planning to come and study in the United States at Sacred Heart University, start the process early. Get all of your documents in order. Take the tests that you need. Prepare your bank accounts and your bank statements. They like to see that students have money in the bank for at least 6 months in a row. One big red flag for a visa officer is that if you have no money in your account for a year, and then a week before you go for the visa interview, you have lots of money in your account, they know that's probably not really your money. Maybe you took out a loan or somebody gave it to you. But if you're able to kind of prepare those bank statements and keep them in the bank for 6 months and can show the documentation of that, these things will improve your chances. Again, if you own land or property, or your family has land or property, or your father or mother has a good job, or you have job prospects, all of these things help you get your visa. That you can do to prepare, the better. One thing that we do is we actually do visa prep webinars with all of our students. We talk about things, knowing your program, understanding what classes you're going to be taking, knowing the professors' names. We connect students with professors as well. So if you're planning to study computer science, you'll know a little bit more about the computer science program, and you can be confident when you go into your visa interview.
Okay, so I think someone was asking about the duration of application, and I would like to say to everyone that Sacred Heart University, the application process doesn't take so long. So, because I know some people have that as they worry about it, of course. So, I can actually say for sure that Sacred Heart University applications don't take so long. So, if your documents are complete, ready, we will put in your application, and with the help of Keith, speaking with the director of the program, trust me, your applications can even come out within a week. So, it all depends on your availability of the documents and what course you're applying for. If it's a competitive course, then it takes a little bit longer. But when I'm saying longer, I don't think it's more than 2 weeks for that to happen. But if it's a normal course, in less than a week, or let's just say max 2 weeks, your admission or offer is ready, is out. So that's the beautiful thing about Sacred Heart University. And so Keith, can you just help me put down the website? This is Sacred Heart University. I think someone is asking for the school website. So we can just pin it down for the person.
Yep. I'm going to put it here. So if you go to this website, this will take you to our international admissions page on the website. Hold on just a second. It's Sacred Heart. Oh, sure. It added a space in here. sacredheart.edu/university. USA. So if you go to that, that'll take you to the website. Oops, sorry. And I have to, it added the comment thing. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So if you go to that, the sacredheart.edu/USA, that will take you right to our website. Again, I'll type my email in here. I wish I could copy the link because I have an event page. Queens, if I was to send you this link, can you put it into the chat, or I don't know if it's easy or not to do if I send it to you on WhatsApp?
The thing is, the thing is, they can actually send us a message on our DM, and then we can provide them with the necessary information that they need. So that would be easy because trying to work with time, and then if we need to keep sending these information, it could take so much time. So if you have questions, everybody, and you need maybe more information, you want to just drop a message on our DM. So just drop us a message on our DM, and then we'll provide. All right.
Yep.
So what do you advise, Keith? Do you advise a student who wants to go probably with his or her spouse and a child to apply at the same time, or do you advise that the students apply first before the dependents can apply? What do you advise?
Oh, for the visa?
Yes.
Okay, so honestly, it's probably better to do it at the same time. I'd never actually had this happen before, but it happened to a student from India this term. She applied for her visa, for a student visa, and got her visa. Then before she came to the United States, she went back and applied for her family, and she was rejected for all of them. And I hadn't seen that before, but that's just an example of, I can see how a consular official would say, okay, you plan to go by yourself to study, and now you're coming back even before you left, and you're bringing everybody with you and your family. I've seen a lot of students, what they've done is they've come and they've started their studies here, and they applied for their family after they started their studies, and that usually tends to be more successful. But again, I'm not a consular official, so I can't tell you what they're looking for or what they're not looking for. But I just can tell you stories that I've and what they've. The visas can be difficult, but again, even in places like I work with Canada, I work with another partner who does a lot with Canada, and the Canadian visas have gotten really tough too. So, your video stopped, Queensley. Oh no, I've lost you. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Okay. Now with the whole pandemic, I-20, is it still sent down the normal way, or is it now coming in soft copy? The I-20, is it still sent via the courier service, or?
Yeah, so just one thing I'll talk about our COVID response. So I'm not sure if people watch the news and they see places like Florida and Texas, and they've done a really, in my opinion, terrible job with the pandemic. Nobody wears masks. They don't pay attention to social distancing. Connecticut is very different. People always wear masks. People always do the social distancing. Our university has been open since August of last year. The students have been back in the dormitories. Everybody wears their masks. And we only, I think, have 30 cases on campus that have done quarantining. We've been able to stay open the entire year. And they've just announced that they're easing up some of the restrictions. Students can get back to, meeting with people because basically, people are getting vaccinated here and things like that. So for the I-20s, we had to send them a learning is that sometimes the border officials were not accepting them when a student actually arrived in the United States. So we've gone back to shipping all of them via paper. And then what we do is we provide the CVIS ID to the student the day we ship it, so you can make your visa appointment the day it gets shipped. But we do send them via paper because the I-20, we want to make sure that, again, you have all your documents in place. And if you get your visa, you don't have any problems with the border police. So, we don't like to do things, take shortcuts, because things work right. So that's just our opinion. Even with our COVID response, we've been really strict on that.
So I think someone was asking about. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much. So I think someone was asking about the IELTS, and I know that Nigeria generally that if he wants to apply for the academic, so that if you are going for schooling, you definitely have to use the academic test of English, that's IELTS academic. So for a person.
Yeah. So
So I think that is the major things.
yeah, I would definitely say we will waive it for most students, but some universities don't. Definitely IELTS academic. The one take the IELTS academic. The other option that a lot of people have been doing now has been Duolingo. The Duolingo exam is much cheaper and can be done online from your home.
Yes.
And we've been accepting that for nearly 2 years. Other universities are starting to accept it as well. But Duolingo it's just as good. You get your results back much quicker. You can do it from home. So.
Okay. So what's the initial deposit that an international student has to make once he or she is given an admission into probably Sacred Heart University?
Is it still $1,500 an undergrad?
Is there like an initial deposit, tuition initial?
And that's refundable, right?
I'm sorry?
Is that refundable for international?
No.
Okay. So at the graduate level, the deposit is $200 to get the I-20, and this will basically be taken off your tuition when you enroll. Unfortunately, it's not refundable. It's just the cost of reserving your undergraduate program. It's a $1,500 deposit, so it's a bit more expensive. Undergrad it can be a bit more expensive, but again, that comes off, right? So.
But for the 1.5 for BSc, it's refundable, right? The BSc 1.5 is refundable.
The 1,500. It's unfortunately that's not refundable. It's just to reserve their space. So, again, undergraduate is a bit more of an expensive endeavor. So, they're both non-refundable. $200 graduate, $1,500 for the undergraduate.
Okay, all right. So I think this is where we would end the session because we've actually attended to most of the questions. But for anyone who has more questions, I think Keith has dropped his email address. He's dropped his the website. You want to ask him questions, and then if you want more information, you can definitely drop on a DM. So Keith, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining this. Joining the live. I'm so grateful. We're happy to.
Corey wants to say hi.
Hi, Queensley. Hi, Corey. How you doing?
You can see we're sharing.
Nice to meet you. No, see you. Yes, I think we spoke last during the Zoom meeting. Hi. Love you too. Okay, bye.
All right, guys. All right, well, thank you very much, Queensley. It was fun. Okay, bye.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Okay, bye. All right, so everyone, any question, whatever it is, you can actually drop in our DM and we'll be here to answer. Thank you so much for joining our session. And this is Nexi Concept Limited. And this is from